guys, it looks like assets are being sold quietly. Oil assets, that is. A lot of companies appear to be selling off their assets in Trinidad. Haven't seen much discussion about it in the region. I haven't seen much discussion about it in the newspapers in Trinidad either. But the information is out there in different newspapers and floating around. Maybe that I think is of grave concern. Just seeing that we had a visit by Rubio and talking about energy and energy security. So that is something very, very interesting. I want to start with this one right here. This is an Australian company called Woodside Energy. It's going to sell some of the Trinidad and Tobago assets for $206 million. Let's start with this one. It says Australia's Woodside Energy said on Friday it would sell some assets in its offshore oil and gas project in Trinidad and Tobago to London-based Renco for $206 million. The sale includes the Greater Angostura Project offshore production facilities and interests in the shallow water Angostura and Ruby fields, but excludes assets in deepwater Calypso field, Woodside said. So these companies are selling some of their assets, and it's interesting. Perenco will assume all restoration obligations, while most of Woodside's Trinidad and Tobago based workforce is expected to transfer to the London-based company. And it also said that Woodside, Australia's top gas producer, had acquired these assets in 2022 through its landmark $2 billion merger BHP Group Petroleum Business. If you know, BHP, of course, had some assets and all in Venezuela. Those licenses are going to be suspended. So I think a lot of people are packing up shop in the region as well. The sale is effective since January 1. It's expected to close in the third quarter, subject to regulatory approval. But I haven't been hearing anything much about it coming out of the Trinidad and Tobago media. And then we have another company by the name of Challenger. Yeah. Company wins green light to divest to Trinidad and Tobago assets. So here again, we see another issue with this one. And Challenge Energy to focus operations in Uruguay and the Bahamas. So they're selling, divesting their shares, divesting their assets in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's see what they're saying. Atlantic margin focused oil company Challenger Energy has received overwhelming approval from shareholders to sell its Trinidad and Tobago assets. Challenger announced in mid-February it entered a transaction to exit Trinidad and Tobago by divesting its assets of $6 million. The company, which operates 3 small onshore fields, Quadron, Ennis Trinity, and Iocas in the Twin Islands, is selling the assets to Caribbean Rex. Challenger said 99.93% of its shareholders voted in favor of selling the company's operations in Trinidad and Tobago. Challenger expects the asset disposal to conclude by 30th April after the pending approval from Trinidad's national oil company Heritage Petroleum. Exiting from Trinidad and Tobago allows full focus on their core assets in Uruguay, where they believe the opportunity to create near-term value for shareholders is considerably greater as we execute our busy work program in both area of 1, area of 3 in 2025, said Challenger executive. Following the completion of the Trinidad and Tobago deal, Challenger will remain with 2 offshore license in Uruguay and 4 offshore permits in the Bahamas. So Challenger is selling Trinidad and Tobago assets. That's another company dealing with oil in Trinidad and Tobago. And also Woodside, Australia, is selling out some of its assets for $206 million. These things are going along very quickly, going by. Nobody's paying attention really, but they are in the works. I think we can see a lot of issues on the horizon with our oil and gas industry in the Caribbean. That announcement by Trump that he's taken away all these licenses from company operating within Venezuela is certainly going to cause an issue for Trinidad and Tobago, especially with the Dragon gas deal, which a lot of people are talking about. Rubio didn't want to talk about it in the last meeting. I see Prime Minister Young spoke about that, and also spoke today. I think it's a Manatee gas field. Basically was saying if that Dragon gas deal falls through, basically they still have the Manatee gas field. That's something that's very, very interesting, and it appears to me that as we go along, there's more problems on the horizon. The Caribbean is in deep trouble. I can tell you that. This tariff that Trump is bringing on the 2nd of April is going to hit the Caribbean like a ton of bricks, like a 9.0 on the Richter scale earthquake. I'm telling you, and I'm doing some research on that one to bring in a next video, but it is going to be crazy. That's why I keep saying, prepare yourself, get what necessary preparations because things are going to get pretty tough in the Caribbean. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, guys. It's the same beautiful channel. It's now called the Caribbean Observer as we look at all across the Caribbean.